Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the final week of the regular season of Season 6 of the Lions Den Quiz League. I am kind of falling asleep right now. It is 5 in the morning, but no matter. Gotta do the quizzes. I'm leaving for Mexico in an hour, so I gotta make sure I get the stuff done. Anyway, this is a user-written week. The quizzes are all submitted by users rather than Looney and Benny. What it means is that, well, at least from what I can tell, the quizzes are a little bit more specialized than usual. The others usually have some general knowledge stuff. There are obviously some specific categories, but these quizzes feel a lot more you know it or you don't kind of thing, which is my excuse for why I'm not going to do very well this week, because some of the quizzes are just things that I don't know about, and that's just the way it goes. But yeah, let's get into them because I don't have too much time. Starting with quiz number 1, which is, let me hide the webcam so you can see it. Oh, that's not the right thing. It's called Why So Plain, and it's all about planes of various types, and it was submitted by Ash. So, quiz 1. In 2019, an Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 destined to fly from Addis Ababa to Nairobi crashed just a few minutes after takeoff, prompting a 2-year grounding of the specific 737 variant of the plane worldwide. What is the name of the variant? So, one of the things I don't know anything about is aviation. I am not very interested in planes. I mean, planes are cool, I guess, but I don't really care about them. I don't do specific research into anything related to planes, which means variant of a 737 not happening. I'm going to say Dreamliner because I do think that there is a plane called the Dreamliner. It might just be an Airbus or something. I don't know, but I know it's a thing that exists, and that's the best I'm going to come up with. Question 2. In the beginning of Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal's character's room gets hit by a jet engine that falls from the sky, but he was out sleepwalking, which is when he met Frank, who is a giant demonic-looking rabbit. I watched Donnie Darko probably a few weeks ago. It was good. It was really, really confusing to the point where it's like, I have no idea what's happening, and I had to fully look up an explanation. But anyway, it's a good movie. I'd say it's worth watching, but it's definitely mind-bending. Question 3. As of the last few years, the busiest passenger flight route in the world is traveled by over 13 million passengers annually. It is a domestic route of 450 kilometers between the mainland of a country and an island that is part of it. Now, I thought about this one for a while, and I don't really have a very good idea. I'm going to guess New York because I know that JFK and I guess LaGuardia are both on Long Island. So I figure it could be the U.S. because the U.S. is busy, and it could be to Boston or Philadelphia or something along those lines. But to be honest, not sure. That could easily be wrong. But the other things I was thinking about were for example, I thought of India. Mumbai is on an island. I don't know if the airport is or not, but it could be like Mumbai to Delhi, but that seems like it's a little longer than 450 kilometers. I'm not sure. But it could be in India. And I also thought of South Korea because the Incheon airport is notably on an island, so it could be Incheon to Busan or something. I'm not sure. But to be honest, yeah, this is just a guess, and I have no idea, but kind of an interesting fact that the busiest flight route is domestic. And yeah, anyway. Question 4. Operation Market Garden in September of 1944 was a joint air and ground Allied forces attack to take control over bridges, blah, blah, blah. Turned out to be partially successful. In the operation, the Allies showed mass use of what kind of engineless aircraft? Again, no clue. I'm going to say hot air balloon, which seems weird, but you say engineless aircraft, and that's the thing that I think of, and I haven't really thought of anything that makes more sense. So I'm going to say hot air balloon. I've never heard of this thing. I mean, I think I've heard of the thing, but I don't know what it was. So this is as far as I'm going to get with this question. Question 5. The song Airplanes by B.O.B. features the female lead of which popular band? So B.O.B. featuring Hayley Williams, I believe, is the song, and Hayley Williams, I think, is the lead singer for Paramore. I'm fairly confident that that's correct. I know this song decently well, well enough to know who sings it, basically. So that's where I am. Even though I don't know Paramore, I don't know any of their songs, but I think she is the Paramore person. And finally, airports are often eponyms, meaning they are named after specific people. The airport in Réunion, a French overseas territory, is named after a famous World War I pilot from the island. who's often associated with a sports tournament that takes place every summer. So I thought about this one for a while because I was like, what's a sports tournament that could be named after a French person? I was thinking, what's an annual sports tournament? Like, there's like the Davis Cup or the Ryder Cup, stuff like that. Those people don't sound French. And I was really struggling until I thought, could it be like the French Open for tennis? And then I realized, wait, could the guy be Roland Garros? Because the name of the tennis courts where they play the French Open is Roland Garros. And I figured it doesn't say that the tournament's named after him. It just says he's associated with it. So I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure. It's a guess. Like, I never actually thought about who this person is. But it seems like that's named after a person. And it seems like this could be the person because I think it fits the clue. So I feel okay about this guess. And I don't feel okay enough about it to enhance it because it really is just a guess. But I'm going to enhance 5 because I think it's, I don't know, reasonably difficult. And honestly, 2 is correct. I think it's not that hard though. And then 1, 3, and 4 are probably all wrong. Maybe they all have a chance, but I think I don't love my chances for any of them. So 5 it is. We will submit. And Roland Garros, Paramore, Rabbit, and then gliders. What's a glider? Like a paraglider? I thought that was like a parachute. Is there a difference? There's probably a difference. I don't think of a parachute or a related thing as an aircraft or whatever it said. Aircraft, I think, is like, I think of like something, I don't know. I think of a parachute as just something you use to slow a fall rather than like an aircraft. So I wasn't going to think of that. Max, I don't even remember what that question was, but that definitely wasn't what I answered. Oh, it was the Boeing thing, yeah. And then Seoul and Jeju. What? That's wild. So it was South Korea, but even if it was South Korea, I would have said Incheon because Incheon is very famously the airport that is on an island. So you telling me, is this a different Seoul airport? Because I thought Incheon was the main airport for Seoul. So is maybe it's the main international airport? I mean, so you're telling me the busiest route in the world goes to Seoul, but it doesn't use the Incheon airport. That's insane. I never, ever, ever would have gotten that correct because I would have said Incheon even if I went for South Korea. So that's nuts. 3 out of 6, not the worst starts, but definitely not in my wheelhouse. And a couple of these other quizzes also won't be. Quiz number 2, contributed by Saluna, mostly at least, apparently. First, a song whose chorus includes the phrase, "You'll take the high road and I'll take the low road," is interpreted to mean the protagonist has died before his love is titled for what body of water. So you'll take the high road, I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland before you. This is, it's called Loch Lomond, or like the Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond or something, but Loch Lomond is the body of water. I happen to know what that is, but I don't think that's that well known, so I might be wrong though. Dusty Baker is one of 2 men widely credited with inventing the high five during their time playing for what baseball team? And then members of the team include Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman. Again, if you know literally anything about baseball, you're going to get this right. But again, I think a lot of the people doing these quizzes just don't because it's a very American thing and it's like not, Europeans just aren't going to know baseball things. But again, to me, this is super easy, which is unfortunately every baseball question we ever get will just be easy. That's kind of just the nature of the business. Oh well. Whipple's triad is a set of criteria meant to determine whether a given patient's symptoms are occurring because of a lack of what specific chemical compound. The 3 criteria are, well, I don't need to read them out, but anyway, a specific chemical compound that you need in your body, like my thought was like insulin, because like obviously it's something you give to diabetics. So this might be specifically a diabetic thing. Lack of insulin. If you administer insulin, they get better, and like that kind of makes sense in my head. I like compound in the blood also makes me think maybe it's like blood sugar, right? It could still be a diabetes thing. Maybe it's just sugar, but it's specific compounds. So it's probably like glucose or fructose or something. But honestly, I wouldn't even know what specific sugar it is. So I feel like I'd just go for insulin here and hope that I'm doing the right thing, but I don't know. Or it could be something entirely different. I really don't know what this is. Question 4. Because the Earth acts as a rotating reference frame, Direction of airflow around low pressure areas becomes deflected perpendicular to the original vector. This is due to what effect? I don't know. The best thing I came up with here was Coriolis, but this feels wrong. The Coriolis effect is like the thing that makes the whatever. It's the spinny thing, but I don't think that's what this is. This whole like perpendicular vector thing does not sound like the Coriolis effect. So I don't think that's what's going on, but I can't think of another better answer for this. So this is just kind of what I'm going to have to go for. Question 5, what high fashion icon became the head designer of Dior? Blah, blah, blah. It's a fashion question, so obviously I'm not getting it. I'm going to guess this guy because I guessed him on a previous quiz about shoes because I think he's a person who's associated with shoes, but I don't know who the hell he is. I don't know how to say his name. And quite frankly, I could not care less who he is or about anything related to this question. So I'm just going to skip it because, fashion just, to me is a extremely uninteresting topic. But again, to each their own. It's just not for me. Question 6. What film titled For the Time of the Antagonist's Arrival tells the story of Marshal Will Kane's preparation for a fight with outlaw Frank Miller one day before he is set to retire from his duties? Not positive, but my guess here is High Noon, because this sounds like a Western. I mean, Marshall and an outlaw sounds like a Western thing. The other Western I thought of that has a time like thing in its name is 310 to Yuma, but I think that's about a train, like 310 train to Yuma. So that makes it sound a little bit less good. It could be though, but that's like 310 to Yuma. That doesn't sound like an arrival, So I'm gonna say High Noon for that. And then for what to enhance, I have to enhance number 1 because 2 still feels easy, and 6 is probably not that hard either. And then 3, 4, and 5 are probably not correct. So I will enhance question 1. There's good old CAPTCHA. And let's see what we got. Oh, it is the Coriolis. Nice. Okay, cool. I guess I didn't feel great about it, but apparently it's just the Coriolis effect. Cool. 4 out of 6. I'll take that. Yves Saint Laurent, obviously, I mean, I've heard of him. He's famous, but again, could I tell you the first thing about him? Nope. And then Glucose, that sucks because I did say glucose, or I think about saying it, but I don't know. I didn't know what the thing was, so I was just going to have to guess a random compound. Unfortunately, guessed the wrong one. But 4 out of 6 is okay because that felt like a fairly hard quiz. And we'll go to quiz 3. Another thing that I know nothing about. This is a Disney quiz, which, again, I do not care about Disney movies. Like, I've seen a couple of them, but this is just the type of thing that really does not interest me. Like, I don't care about watching animated children's films. So my knowledge here is quite lacking. So, perhaps the most famous or infamous villain death in the Disney animated feature is that of William Clayton in Tarzan. How does he die? I have literally no clue. I'm going to say he gets crushed by a rock. That is a complete guess. Question 2. In the original telling of Cinderella, her sisters participate in what gruesome action to trick the prince into marrying them when he arrives at their house looking for Cinderella? Again, I have no idea. This is something I should know because obviously Cinderella is a really famous story, but I genuinely, if I've seen the movie, I was probably about 4, and at this point, I barely know the story at all. I know there's a pumpkin and a fairy godmother, and a prince, and some kind of dance and midnight. I don't know. That's about it, to be honest. So, gruesome action. I don't know. I could not think of a good answer for this, so I'm just gonna say injuring Cinderella. I don't know. Question 3. The ending of what Pixar film saw the villain being eaten alive by birds because he thought they were contraptions built by the main character? So here's the thing. Pixar is something I'm a little more familiar with. I grew up watching a good amount of Pixar movies, and I have no idea what's going on in this question. So, this does not sound familiar to me at all, which does narrow it down because, again, I would recognize this for most Pixar movies. So I'm going to guess the Pixar, or one of the few Pixar movies that I know nothing about, which is A Bug's Life, because this is one of the old Pixar films that just, I think I saw it once, but I don't remember it. There are other ones. There's new ones like Onward and like Soul and Elemental and stuff. Those are movies I also haven't seen, so it could be that. But it feels like, I don't know, birds. So it's like at least it's a thing that has animals in it. So bugs, a villain being eaten alive by birds sounds like something that could happen to a bug, if that makes sense. But again, it's a guess, and I wish I knew this, but I don't. Question 4. The original retelling of what story, which is adapted into 1989 Disney animated Renaissance film, has the main character go through unbearable physical and emotional pain before eventually ending their own life. The thing I thought of here was The Hunchback of Notre Dame. But I'm not sure. Because again, I've never seen the movie. I've never read the book. I don't really know much about it. I mean, I know that he probably is in pain because he's a hunchback, I guess. And I want it. Does he end his own life? I feel like, doesn't he fall from the thing, from the church? Again, I don't know the story because I've never seen this. But I thought of this and I thought it could be right. So that's my guess. Finally, the only one that I actually know, in the Pixar film Coco, De La Cruz poisons Hector when he decides to return to his family. What does he steal after killing Hector? Song lyrics. I mean, Hector writes the song "Remember Me" or whatever, and De La Cruz is like, good lyrics. What if I killed you and took credit for it? Question 6. In Frozen, the viewer is shown the moment when Elsa and Anna's parents' ship sinks during a storm. During which song is this scene shown? Haha. Hilarious. No idea. I'm going to say, do you want to build a snowman? Because that is a song. The only other one I know is Let It Go, and I'm pretty sure it's not that. Because it just doesn't seem right at all, given the clue. But maybe it is Let It Go, and I'm totally throwing. But again, I saw Frozen once. I don't remember any of the songs other than the really famous ones. So, yep. And I will enhance number 5 because even if it's maybe not that hard, I don't know if any of the others are correct. So 5 it is. But Disney quiz was never going to go well for me because I do not particularly care about Disney movies. Okay, it is actually Do You Want to Build a Snowman? His music, I said song lyrics, that should be fine. A Bug's Life is correct. Okay. The Little Mermaid. What was the... Dude, I'm too tired, man. It's literally 5:11 in the morning. I don't even remember the questions. Hanging was the Tarzan one, which, sure, again, didn't know that. Removal parts of their feet. Oh, it's because of the slippers, right? They have to fit into the slippers. Is that the idea? Yeah, okay. Should know that, but oh well. Tough. And then The Little Mermaid... I legitimately don't remember what that question was, but I definitely got it wrong, so it's fine. Doesn't matter. So that's 3 out of 6. That's not great, but honestly, again, given it's a Disney quiz, given it's something I know nothing about, virtually nothing about, I'm okay with 3 out of 6. Quiz 4. Another thing that's like, what is going on? Like, these quizzes... A couple of the later ones are better, but like, man, this is hitting all of my weak spots. So I will leave links to the audio clips in the description in a Drive folder because I don't want to get copyright claimed. But this is some guy named Willis. I don't even remember his first name. Wesley Willis. I don't know who this is, but the song clips are really weird. And to be honest, pretty just not appealing at all to listen to. They're just weird. It's like a guy talking. It's very strange. Thankfully, I mean, if you know the music, you can get it right, but I assume most people playing this quiz are not going to know what the heck the music is, so you kind of just have to answer the questions without the help of the clips. So number 1, and most played song on Spotify by Mr. Willis. He sings of this food chain is a restaurant where they buy food to eat. And he compares the fat content of 2 of the menu items, one of which is known for 3 slices of bread, and the other which is the topic of conversation seen at the start of a Quentin Tarantino movie. I want to say it's McDonald's because I think the 3 slices of bread is the Big Mac. Like, I think the Big Mac just has That's the one. That's the burger that has 3 slices of bread. I hope it's not like the Whopper or something, but I want to say it's the Big Mac. And then the other thing is probably the Royale with cheese. Like, is that the thing at the start of Pulp Fiction? But again, not sure. I didn't know that Royale was a McDonald's burger, but maybe it is. Question 2. Although Mr. Willis successfully whooped this individual for running him amok, blah 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 blah. To be honest, like again, I have no idea what's going on in this question, so I'm not going to try and walk you through it because I don't have anything to walk you through. I'm going to guess Batman. I mean, it's a title character in a movie sequel that has some sort of marketing campaign that I've never heard of. So I'm just going to say a character who could be a subject of a movie. Question 3. He released a song about cutting an example of what hairstyle? Kiefer Sutherland described himself as an unwitting instigator of this hairstyle, which he sported in the 1987 film The Lost Boys. Ray finned fish sharing its name, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm going to say mullet because that is a hairstyle that exists. And to be honest, if you asked me to name different hairstyles, I could probably name like 3, maybe like 5. But again, that's not something I have any knowledge of. So I'm just going to take the L and move on. Question 4. Mr. Willis inexplicitly sings about a bird that sucked blood out of me. He started stabbing me in my ass, and then 3 more redacted, blah, blah, blah. Again, and I listened to the clip, and it's just like, it's so weird. He's just like, it's like there's a tune, but then he just starts like talking in a weird voice, and it's like, what is this? Like, it's very, very odd music. Anyway, not only are these animals not birds, but it was discovered in 1932 they don't suck their food, but they lap it up with their tongue. Central South American animal has a number of unique levels, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this, I don't know. Again, I don't know. Like, the only thing I thought of was anteater, but that's one word. But I couldn't think of another thing that, like, is anywhere close to, like, sucking food or lapping it up with their tongue. So I'm gonna say anteater with a hyphen because heck, maybe it's like Mandela effect and it's actually 2 words, but I'm pretty sure anteater is 1 word. And if it's a type of anteater, there's no way I'm getting it. If it's like a brown anteater or a striped anteater or something, like that's not gonna happen. So I'm just gonna say anteater, and it's probably something completely different. But again, no clue. Question 5. Name the 2-word condition titling the song heard in this clip. Is also the combination of the name of Dr. Dre's debut album and the name of the second studio album of the Brazilian metal band Sepultura, a diagnosis which dropped differentiations in the latest edition. So I'm pretty sure the Dr. Dre album is called The Chronic. And then the other thing, the best guess I have is schizophrenia because it says paranoid, like paranoid schizophrenia. There are probably other things that can be prefixed with paranoid, but this is the only guess that I'm going to come up with. And then finally, question 6. Rock over blank, rock on blank. First contains a transit station that gives its name to a beloved Peruvian bear of children's literature and film. And the second city is Mr. Willis's hometown, which has a very tall building that shares his last name. So that's the Willis Tower in Chicago, which is also known as the Sears Tower. And the first thing is London because the Peruvian bear is Paddington because he came from Peru or whatever. So Paddington Station is, of course, in London. I think that's an easy question, but here's the thing. I don't feel confident about literally any of the other ones, so I am still going to enhance number 6 because I got nothing else. Again, I don't know what this quiz is. I don't know who Wesley Willis is. I don't know what's going on, but I gotta just submit, take the L, and once again, move on. So, is that it? Is that a car? It looks like a car. Well, in Chicago, chronic schizophrenia is correct. Mullet is also correct. Batman. What? How did I just get 5 out of 6 on that? It was actually Batman. I just guessed a film character. Like, for no reason. I was just like, who's a character who exists in films and would be in a sequel? How did I get 5 out of 6 on that? I had no idea what was going on in, like, any of that quiz. I should have known that he wouldn't refer to an anteater as a bird. That makes a lot of sense, to be honest. But also, I just didn't think of Vampire Bat, to be honest. It's fine. I don't know how I got 5 out of 6. Absolutely did not deserve that at all. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. Quiz 5 is a geography quiz, which is a little more up my alley, finally, thankfully. Number 1, firebirds are a recurring motif across mythologies throughout the world. One example being the never-landing Huma bird, with origins in Persian legends. Features centrally on the state emblem of this modern-day country, with the Amu Darya and Sirdarya rivers flowing on each side. I associate the Amu Darya and Sirdarya with Uzbekistan. The problem is I'm not positive because I feel like they also flow through other countries. Like, I feel like Tajikistan is maybe a concern here because I feel like they flow east-west, and I feel like they go near Tajikistan, or at least one of them does. One of them also flows through, I mean, I think the Sirdarya is in Kazakhstan, the Amu Darya is in Turkmenistan, but mainly I'm worried about Tajikistan here, but I think hopefully it's Uzbekistan. Question 2, the only known non-human animals to intentionally spread wildfires are a few bird species, commonly known as firehawks, that have been observed carrying burning sticks over fire breaks to flush animals out for hunting purposes. They possibly inspired the mythology of Crow, bringing fire to the indigenous people of this modern-day country. So my first thought was the U.S. here, because the whole Crow bringing fire sounds very Native American to me. But I looked at the picture, and this vegetation, I can't see this being the U.S. The vegetation does not look American at all to me. So based off of GeoGuessr, my next best guess is Australia, because the vegetation looks like it could be Australian, and Crow bringing fire could be like an Aboriginal thing rather than a Native American thing. I could totally see that being the case. But this, at the end of the day, is a guess. I've never heard of firehawks, so I don't really know what's going on. Question 3, the Ho, a Japanese equivalent of the Chinese Feng Huang, is like many firebirds, a bringer of peace and happiness. One sits atop the golden Kinkakuji temple in what city? Blah, blah, blah. Kinkakuji is the temple of the Golden Pavilion in Kyoto. Quite a famous building. Name of the city translates to capital, and eastern capital is Tokyo, I believe. Question 4. Fire finches are a group of red-colored birds found all throughout Africa. The rock firefinch is endemic to the Jos Plateau of Nigeria and the highlands of a neighboring country, which contains an eponymous mountain that's the tallest in Africa outside the East African Rift and the Atlas Mountains. That would be Mount Cameroon. So the country itself would be Cameroon. But Mount Cameroon is notable for being tall, I guess, and also Cameroon borders Nigeria, so it works. Question 5. In 1963, what island rose out of flames off the coast of Iceland and now serves as a habitat for a variety of birds, including gulls, fulmars, and puffins, barring further eruptions and expected to dip back below the waves in the next few centuries? This is called Surtsey. It's kind of a somewhat famous Icelandic island, small island off the south coast. But I'm pretty sure this is what Surtsey is. And then finally, question 6, the firebird best known in the Western world is the phoenix, which is often used as a symbol for renewal, like on the flag of what city? A city in a forest that burned to the ground at the start of Sherman's March to the Sea. Its name is similar to an entirely different figure in Greek mythology. So I already associated Sherman's March to the Sea with the state of Georgia, or at least the South. But then I read the Greek myth clue and realized, wait, Atlanta is very similar to Atalanta, which would be the Greek figure. So I feel like this is almost certainly the answer. And then I will go ahead and enhance Surtsey, because that seems hard. And we shall see. Is that a bridge? That looks like a bridge. Nope, wasn't apparently. There's one there and there and there. There was 100% a palm tree in that second one that I clicked, but okay. Whatever. Oh my god, how many of these are you gonna give me, man? Get me out of here. Okay, Australia was actually correct. Nice. Cameroon, Surtsey, Atlanta. That's 6 out of 6. Let's go. Okay, I needed that because the first 4 quizzes were honestly rough. Actually, to be fair, quiz 4 wasn't that rough, but it should have been. I got lucky. But yeah, nice 6 out of 6 on the Geo quiz. Back on track. And we head to quiz number 6, which was submitted by Otari. By the way, the last one was Arctic Tern, and the one before that was Solar Sensei. And the one before that was GeoGamer. Sorry, I should be shouting at the quiz makers, and I forgot to do that. But thank you to all of them for making these. Anyway, semi-fictional places by Otari. Arts and lit quiz. I think this one is also solid for me, just because again I tend to be a lot better at arts and lit than a lot of the other categories because I have familiarity with this stuff through Quiz Bowl, which just helps an absolute ton with these quizzes. Number one, Charles Kinbote is in exile, or so he alludes to, or so he says sometimes. This is a wordy question, but basically, Pale Fire was written by who is the question, and Pale Fire was written by Nabokov. I have no idea what any of the other clues are, to be honest. Like, I've never read this. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know, like, Zembla, Appalachia, like, the poem within a novel, novel within a poem. I don't know what's going on. But Nabokov is the guy who wrote Pale Fire, which thankfully is all I need to know. Good old JJ, in his novel titled for the Latinized version of a Greek name, loosely maps his story over its counterpart, with years of Mediterranean voyages being compressed into a one-day urban stroll. His characters evolve around the Bay of what city, in which JJ-related celebrations are held annually? So this is James Joyce. So the city would be Dublin. The celebrations are Bloomsday, and the novel is Ulysses, which is the Latinized version of the name Odysseus, and of course Odysseus, Mediterranean voyages, the Odyssey, etc. You get the idea, but this is talking about Dublin. Question 3. In Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials and Related Books, Panzerbjörnes are armor-forging bears mostly living on an alternate world version of what real-world subdivision? Map-clicking enthusiasts may know the name of subdivision's biggest and best-covered town contains the letters of the word bear consecutively, but not in that order. So I thought about this for a while, and then I thought of Svalbard, which the capital is Longyearbyen, which has the words EA or the letters EARB, so they are consecutive, but they are not in that order, so that fits. Longyearbyen is the only town in Svalbard that has a significant amount of Google Street View, so that makes sense, best covered. And then also, I don't know, alternate world version of a remote place such as Svalbard also just kind of makes sense. So I figured that would be the answer. Question 4. Who wrote Always Coming Home, a novel taking place in a distant future, partly submerged version of the author's native California? She is better known for her loosely connected stories happening in the future but not on Earth, or for stories happening on a more generally submerged and Ghibli-approved world. This is Ursula Le Guin, who I haven't read any of her stuff, but I've heard she's quite good. My mom likes her stuff a lot, but she's native not only to California, but to pretty much exactly where I'm from. And the submerged world is called Earthsea, and then the stories are, well, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's books like The Dispossessed and The Left Hand of Darkness, and then there's a bunch of short stories as well. Anyway, I haven't read pretty much any of it, but I've heard it's quite good. Question 5. Edgar Rice Burroughs used some pop or quack science as the background for some of his writings. The supposed Martian canals, for example, inspired a series of adventures set on his version of the Red Planet. Where is the world called Pellucidar, the setting of another one of his series, situated? This place is fully relegated to folklore after being proven non-habitable and in a way non-existent in a 1774 experiment. I don't know why I read that whole thing out, because I don't know what's going on in this question, like, at all. I'm really confused. It sounds like it should be like an astronomical thing, but like I don't know what this is. I'm gonna guess Planet X, which I think Planet X is like a modern thing, like a theorized thing, not like a 1700s thing. But to be quite honest, I don't have a better guess. I can't think of what this would be. Some sort of hypothetical planet or star or something, but I don't know what the term is. I don't know what it's talking about. So unlucky. And then finally, question 6. Here is William Turner's Dido building what city? The subject is taken from Virgil's Aeneid. Dido having founded the city after fleeing the Phoenician city-state of Tyre. Name dropped in his first sentence, the city also serves as the stage of Flaubert Salammbô, named for the fictional daughter of historical Hamilcar. Hamilcar Barca was a commander or army dude related to Hannibal, presumably, from Carthage. Dido, notably Queen of Carthage, at least legendarily. So Carthage should be the answer here. That, I think, is fairly easy in comparison to some of this other stuff. I think I should probably enhance Nabokov or Le Guin, and I think I'll go with Le Guin because I feel like I know her because she's local, but I think that's pretty difficult. And Nabokov it's still hard, but it might be a little more well-known because Pale Fire is not Pale Fire is pretty famous, I think, although still not quite as famous as Lolita. All right, so yeah, 4 is the one. And we'll see how we did. Inside the earth, or in a hollow earth. What the hell? Never heard of this. Inside the earth? Wow, that is not where I thought that was going. I don't think I've ever heard of this as a hypothetical thing. So, I mean, I guess it was disproven 300 years ago, so I guess maybe that's why. But this is, yep, it's news to me. Le Guin is correct, though, as are all the others. So 5 out of 6 on that quiz is perfectly fine because, again, I think that was decently difficult. And finally, we head to the final quiz of the season before the championship, of course, which, you know, I guess, well, I'll mention at the end of the video. For now, question 7, written by Jambo. Number 1, which 18th century philosopher regarded as the father of utilitarianism? He's the first major critic of the common law system, etc., etc., dog law. Anyway, this is one of 2 people. There are 2 utilitarians, at least, that are famous and get asked about. Which one is the father of utilitarianism, you ask? I don't know. It's either Jeremy Bentham or John Stuart Mill, or it's somebody else, but I highly doubt it's somebody else. I'm going to say John Stuart Mill, and it's going to be Jeremy Bentham. I don't know which. It's one of the 2. Question 2, what is the surname of the man who was convicted by the state of Arizona in U.S. Supreme Court case? This is Miranda v. Arizona. You have the right to remain silent, known as Miranda rights. So that's, I think, pretty well known, at least in the U.S. Question 3, the UK case of R.V. Dudley and Stevens first established the common law precedent that necessity is not a defense to a murder charge. The case became particularly notable because Dudley and Stevens committed what gruesome act following the wrecking of their ship? Second question this week about a gruesome act. I don't know what this one is either, but I'm going to say cannibalism because it sounds like something you might do after a ship got wrecked and murder might be involved, so sure. Question 4. In 2012, Thomas Lubanga Dilo was convicted for using child soldiers in the ongoing Congolese conflicts. His conviction and sentencing was the first officially handed down by what international body? I don't know. I'm going to say the ICC, International Criminal Court, I think. That's what it's called. That is a thing that exists. I don't know how long it's existed. Maybe it's existed for hundreds of years and I'm completely wrong, but I think that is an international body that convicts people of things, so that is what I'm going with. And again, like, the subjects of these quizzes, again, have been really brutal for me. Like, I don't know anything about Disney, I don't know anything about planes, and I don't know anything about law. Like, law, again, if there's ever a law question that comes up in trivia, I'm just like, I'm not getting this. I don't know anything about law. I don't care about law. Like, it's just, yeah. So this has definitely been a rough set, but, and I'm not saying the quizzes are bad. I'm just saying, like, I'm just out of my comfort zone here. But hey, I mean, I guess trivia, part of what trivia is about is learning things about things you don't know. So even if these aren't things that are that interesting to me, you know, it's still cool to know more things about them. So I'm glad that these quizzes are at least helping me accomplish that. Question 5. According to Times Higher Education, the highest ranked global law school outside of North America and Europe is part of the National University of which country? Located in the Bukit Timah campus. It was established in 1956. It was the only law school in the country until 2007. This is Singapore. Bukit Timah is one of the planning areas of Singapore. So that's, you know, it's a helpful clue for GeoGuessr players for sure. And then finally, in 2016, South African President Jacob Zuma was ordered by the Constitutional Court to repay 7.8 million rand, or $500,000 to the state, after he used state funds to build what luxury at his private residence. Zuma claimed that the luxury was necessary for security and firefighting. I don't know, but my best guess I have here is a swimming pool. Because what's a luxury that you would build that you could argue is usable for firefighting? Probably involves water. Luxury involving water, possibly a swimming pool. I don't know. I got no better guesses than this. So swimming pool it is. And then finally, as for what to enhance, I would enhance number 1 if I was confident about which of the 2 guys it is. And I'm really sad because I feel like that's a pretty hard question, and I would get good points for enhancing that if I knew that I was right. But again, I'm worried it's Bentham, so I'm not going to enhance that. 2 is easy. 3 and 4 I don't feel very good about, or 6, so I'm going to enhance 5. Even though, again, probably fairly easy given Bukit Timah, GeoGuessr server, etc. But it's still not trivial. honestly. If you don't know what Bukitima is, this is a hard question, so I think 5 is an okay thing to enhance anyway. And finally, the last captcha of the season, before the championship at least. No, but championship won't have these, so this is the last captcha of the season. It is the ICC, very nice. Of course, it's Bentham. For God's sake. Okay, you know what? 5 out of 6 on that. I'll take it. ICC, I wasn't sure. The swimming pool, I wasn't sure. I'm glad that ended up being right. And then cannibalism, too. Wow. Okay, so a lot of good guesses. Happy with how this one turned out, but god damn it. I knew it was going to be Bentham. I knew that was going to happen. But I will certainly take it. So, nice. So that's going to be it for these quizzes. Unfortunately, the deadline is not for like 24 hours, so I'm not going to be able to just pause the recording and play it once I get the results. This isn't going to make any difference to you, so I don't know why I'm saying it, but I'll edit it together later. What I do want to say right now is that this is week 5, which is the last week of the regular season, but I will be qualifying presumably for the championship, which will be taking place after this. And there will be a championship video to go along with it, which is, again, that's the live recorded, like you have 12 minutes to do these 8 questions kind of thing. So definitely a different format, but still kind of a fun thing. So going to be happy to be playing the championship again. Excited to bring that one to you guys. But for now, I will just see you guys when I know my final score for week 5. All right, so here for a quick recap of week 5, as well as season 6 as a whole. I will hide the webcam. I finished, or that's the frame, I guess I can hide that too. I finished second in week 5, which honestly is way better than I thought I was going to do. I think the week in general was just way harder, or at least a little bit harder, because in most other weeks, like the top scorers are like around 40 or even above, and here the best was around 35. So I think this was just a tough week, especially because all the categories were a lot more specialized than normal, like I mentioned in the video, so makes sense. But happy with the second place finish, and the final season standings looked something like this. So, after 5 weeks, I finished in 5th place. It is kind of insane how close it was between 2nd and 6th. Everyone is like super, super close together, especially 3rd and 6th. But yeah, I only finished, 0.58 points outside of 3rd place, which is unfortunate. But I still think that it was, or 0.56, I can't do math. But anyway, it was still a solid season, and I'm happy with how I played. Congratulations to Rasmus on the 1st place finish, and then Saluna and Solar Sensei for rounding out the top 3. But still, 5th overall is very, very solid. Excuse me. And I will take that. So, yeah, that's the season. Well, it's not, because there's going to be a championship video. So, you know, Rasmus finishes 1st in the regular season, but who knows what will happen in the live recorded championship. And I will be recording that for you guys, and I'll post it probably in a week or 2. We'll see when that happens. But anyway, for now, thank you for watching season 6 of the LDQL, at least the regular season of it. I appreciate the support as always from you all. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple weeks for the championship. Bye.